everyone, welcome back to Team 1D, and this video I'm going to be talking about why your blood sugar might spike even when you count your carbs perfectly and you seemingly do everything correct. So oftentimes with type 1 diabetes, or even type 2 diabetes, you may seem like you're doing everything perfectly fine, like you're counting your carbs, you're administering insulin on time, you're doing everything right, you're not eating maybe something that spikes your blood sugar too much, and you're doing everything right, but yet your blood sugar still is spiking to like 250 or 200 or 300 like every time you eat, or just maybe not every time you eat, but oftentimes this is happening even when you're doing nothing wrong. So today I'm going to be breaking down the reasons why this kind of happens, and these are kind of things that like nobody really explained to me when I was diagnosed, but like through living with type 1 diabetes, I was able to learn why they happen. And one reason that I've seen like throughout my time living with diabetes is that the timing of insulin can greatly cause you to have high blood sugar or low blood sugar after eating. Even if you put your insulin and you count your carbs perfectly, it can still happen. This is because like if you eat immediately, it depends on the type of food, the type of insulin you have, and the amount of time you wait before administering insulin. For example, if you like the regular Humula insulin, then you should wait at least 15 minutes. I recommend like 30 minutes around eating. Before eating, you should administer insulin around 15 to 30 minutes before eating for the insulin time up. But this depends on the type of food you eat. If you eat something that's like very fast, that hits your like bloodstream really fast, then I would recommend doing it earlier, like cereal, white rice, I don't know, anything sugary. You should do it like earlier, like 30 minutes or more even. But if you do something that is slow or maybe rises throughout a long period of time, like let's say fries or like pizza, something fatty, then I would recommend putting it like just right before you eat, or even doing an extended bolus, which is where if you're on for example, the Omnipod has it, which is where if you're on the manual mode, you can set it so then your pump keeps on giving you insulin over an extended period of time, and it kind of makes it so it overlaps. So kind of the timing of insulin is a very big factor I've seen that can affect whether or not you have blood sugar spikes. So even if you have really good carb counting, this not pre-bolusing can be a really big factor, and not getting your insulin to overlap with your blood sugar spikes and your food spikes can definitely be a reason, which is one of the biggest reasons I think to why your blood sugar is still going up even when you're counting carbs perfectly. So overall, I would just recommend you to bolus beforehand, and depending on the type of insulin you have and the type of food you eat, like for example, Liumjev, the one I use, or Fiasp, the fast-acting insulins, will be fine to, for example, if instead of doing 30 minutes, do 15 minutes or 10 minutes or even right before eating, but it would still depend on the food. So maybe, for example, if you're eating something that would spike your blood sugar instantly, you still should wait like 15 minutes, let's say, before eating, like administer insulin before eating 15 minutes before. But then if you're eating something that's like maybe slower or kind of increase your blood sugar over a long, prolonged period of time, then you can administer your insulin right before eating or even do a extended bolus as well. So yeah, I would say this depends on the type of insulin you're using and the type of food you're eating, but make sure to try to get the timing of your insulin down based on the insulin you have in the food you eat. So really practicing this can help you kind of change the fact that you still have increasing blood sugar after counting your carbs perfectly. Another reason could be having just high-fat meals in general. This kind of relates to what I just said before, but like when you eat stuff like pizza or something that's like high in fat, it slows down your digestion, so your carbs hit later, which delays your spikes, which also messes up the timing of insulin, like we talked about before. So this leads to kind of good numbers at first. So you're like, oh, my blood sugar is fine. It's not high. I'm doing good. But then hours later, especially like at nighttime, let's say late into the night, your blood sugar could spike up a lot. So with pizza, burgers, and fries, let's say Mexican food or some like pasta, this can definitely happen. So a good thing to do is to extend bolus. So use the extended bolus feature on the manual mode on Omnipod or any other pump you're using. Try to use extended bolus if it has it. And also split dosing could also help. So maybe giving some of the dose right before eating, and then half the dose or some other part of the dose later on, let's say like 30, 40 minutes before after eating. And also, so another tip to do is to monitor your blood sugar 2 to 4 hours after, like very carefully, because let's say you bolus it's all doing fine. You shouldn't be like complacent kind of or lazy and like stop looking at your blood sugar. You should try to keep and continue looking at your blood sugar and making sure it's not increasing. So then if it starts increasing, you can immediately start bolusing, like, okay, my blood sugar is going to go up because the food that I ate is fatty and it's going to continue making my blood sugar rise. So time to bolus now and like correct and do corrections so my blood sugar goes down, instead of kind of ignoring that and then being like, okay, my blood sugar will be fine, and then 15-20 minutes later it's up and it's risen a lot. Another reason could be protein conversion. So a lot of people think that proteins don't affect their blood sugar at all, and they kind of overdo it. They eat too much protein. Well, not too much protein, but they don't actually bolus at all for their protein. They don't count that into their carbs at all. But a good tip is to actually count it a little bit, especially after like a while after you've been diagnosed with diabetes. It's good to account for the protein a little bit. So it depends on the person, but I think for me, like when I eat protein, my blood sugar still like it still affects my blood sugar a little bit. So whenever I'm eating something that's especially high in protein, and if a lot of my diet has protein in it, I would like to put like some more insulin in there. For example, like steak and eggs, protein shakes, chicken meals. You might think these will not increase your blood sugar at all, but they actually could, and they could especially cause slow rises like hours after your meal. So I would definitely check for those, like be alert for them, for your blood sugar rising afterwards, and also maybe bolus a little bit more, or do like extended bolus, or just make sure you're like aware and like alert for the fact that your blood sugar could rise later on when you're eating something that has high in protein. So yeah, like don't ignore protein and make sure you are alert and bolus a bit for the protein as well. Another thing that could impact your blood sugar, even if you're counting carb therapy, is like stress and adrenaline. For example, like you might have a test, you might have a presentation, you might have like an interview, a job, you might be stressed for like a lot of things, and so due to this, like these hormones, your body releases, your liver releases glucose into your bloodstream, which increases your blood sugar. So a lot of times, like also when you're sick, this can happen as well. So like whenever these things happen, and whenever you know they're happening, you should definitely try to increase your temp basal and just increase the amount of insulin that's getting into your body, and just like be alert on these things. Like I know it's hard if you're sick, if you're stressed, but it's not really that hard to increase your temp basal a little bit. And I'll definitely try to like be on top of that if you can, because it can definitely save you like a really bad experience of having high blood sugar for a really long period of time, adding on to the stress or whatever you're going through or the sickness that you're going through. And even though this is not your fault, it's something that we have to deal with. And so I'd recommend everyone to be on top of kind of these hormones like stress, adrenaline, or being sick. Another thing, another hormone is like growth hormones or like teenage hormones. This can cause overnight highs or morning blood sugar spikes. I especially see my morning like dawn phenomenon happening more because of my hormones. Like especially during puberty, increases your insulin resistance. So I would talk with the endo about this and definitely like see which one of these affect you. Like for example, if you have overnight highs, morning spikes, or if you just increase insulin resistance, or maybe all three of them. And then based on these things, you can work on like fixing your, I guess, your blood sugar management. And like based on this, you can maybe increase your doses in different time periods, or in general, like fix your carb ratios. And yeah, just do a lot of things to change and make sure that your blood sugar is not going up due to these factors. Another thing that could increase your blood sugar without like it being your fault is like any like inflammation or illnesses, or like site absorption issues on the site, like inflammation on the site, such as like scar tissues, or if you overuse your site, if your cannula is not working, or if it's bent, or just poor blood flow in general, or if your pod's not working. This happens very, very often, like your pod's not working, or you have a lot of scar tissue, and so, or there's like some inflammation whenever I use my site. And so when this happens, like for example, like your insulin's not working, you have unexplained highs, these are some of the patterns. Just like rotate your site, change your pod, and don't just like be like, oh, my pod's probably fine, it's definitely going to be working, because it's probably not working. And this is the main reason why I think I have like really, really high highs. My pod's not working for a long period of time, and the blood sugar just keeps going up. And yeah, so this is like a really big reason for why I think people have like really high highs, even though they're not doing anything wrong necessarily. So yeah, when this happens, just rotate your site and change your pod. Another thing that could change, like affect your blood sugar spikes, are caffeine and sleep deprivation. Like coffee can also spike, and caffeine can spike blood sugar for some people. So be aware of this. Like if you have any energy drinks without sugar in it, it could still spike your blood sugar. Or if you drink coffee a lot, just like be mindful of this. It might not, but for some people, definitely there's studies that show that it can increase your blood sugar. And so if you're like one of these people who are just having unexplained blood sugar spikes, it could be due to caffeine. So look into that and maybe like decrease your caffeine intake. Another thing is lack of sleep increases insulin resistance. So if you find yourself like very insulin resistant, and you have a lack of sleep, I would highly recommend trying to get more sleep to make sure you have like better insulin, lower insulin resistance compared to before, because it'll definitely help you if you get more sleep. So yeah, overall, I think like you don't like a lot of times people think that they count carbs perfectly, and it doesn't really mean perfect blood sugar, but there's also other methods that you can use to make sure your blood sugar is fine. And it's like a constant struggle day to day, and these are just stuff we have to go through, but these things can definitely help you manage your blood sugar better. If you have any other comments or things that you want to go through, that you want me to go through, leave in the comments, leave it down below. And yeah, like the video if you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.